Berman at the White House. I want to bring in the president of the Republican Muslim Coalition, Saba Ahmed. Saba, thanks very much for joining us this morning. Important to have your reaction. Thank you so much.
Sure. Well, I think there's a way to protect the country without, implementing a generalized, strict Muslim ban. I know the president is arguing that probably Delta Airlines and other issues caused the mess, but I believe, he has the right intentions, but the way that it was rolled out was not very well thought through, and obviously it did cause a lot of problems to green card holders and even dual citizens from those 7 nations.
All right, so this is what we were talking about on the set today. Your issue with this is the way that it was executed then, Saba, but you have no issue with putting a ban on visas in an organized way on people who are coming from these countries that are rife with terrorism. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think state sponsors of terrorism we've had those lists since the Obama administration, and making those stronger is only going to be better for this country. But at the same time, the way it was implemented was very questionable. It caused a lot of problems and headaches for people with valid visas. I believe all visas going forward could have been stopped, but the ones that were already given should have been analyzed on a case-by-case basis instead of a complete blanket ban.
But Saba, I do want to point out, it's Daga McDowell. This is a temporary travel ban based on place of origin, and these 7 countries came from President Obama's administration and the Congress because it was related to the federal program that travelers from the UK, France, and dozens of other countries used to be able to travel into the U.S. without a visa. But there was a federal law that was passed in 2015 that required anybody from a list of approved countries that they had to obtain a visa. That list was expanded, but that's where those 7 nations that list of 7 nations comes from. So it's not Muslim, it's a place of origin ban.
Right. I understand. But the way President Trump had talked about it during his campaign, he talked about a total and complete shutdown of Muslims coming to the United States. So obviously people are reacting to that, and our community is very fearful. There's a lot of sentiments going around that he's just implementing what he said during the campaign, and that's why people are fearful, and they hope that, it's not just a Muslim ban. And I hope, we're all concerned about national security, and we hope to see a safer America, a secure nation. But the way you protect is by enforcing the law. And I think, just targeting one religion or even national origin should be scrutinized. And I think that's why we're seeing judicial oversight. A lot of courts have been granting stays to those orders because it was not very well thought through legally. And that's why it's being challenged in courts, and they're easily winning. Yeah. ACLU raised over $20 million last weekend just, because of their stay order in New York.
So what's the reaction from the Muslim community, Saba?
People are very fearful right now that what's next to come. This is just the beginning. He's only been in office for the first week. And how is he going to be targeting Muslims in America who are already living here and who may be traveling to overseas? And, it's causing a huge shockwave within our community.
It's very clear, and Judge Napolitano mentioned this morning, that he did work within the Constitution. There was no religious test here. There was no ban on Muslims. But I'll tell you what concerns me. We're talking about fear, and I'm not diminishing the fear of the Muslim community, but I'm concerned about the fear of the American people. The fear that has been spread worldwide, not just with Muslims. My goodness, it's not just Muslims who are causing these terrorist attacks, it's others. So I think we have to keep in mind that there are another group of people called the American people, very fearful that they're going to become victims of the next terrorist attack. And look, 109 people were detained. Oh, well, I didn't say you're not, okay? I didn't say you're not. I agree with you. My point is that 109 people, believe me, I'm sure if I was one of those 109, I would be a little bit disturbed over being detained. However, if they found one,
it wasn't just the detained, though. There was a lot of people sent back.
If they found just one person who was coming here with the conceived notion that they were going to harm American citizens, I'll tell you what, it was all worth it.
Saba,
sure.
Kirsten Hagland here. What is your opinion? The Muslim countries that were part of this ban have mostly been silent, except for Iran, which came out on Saturday and said that, oh, well, we're not letting Americans into the country. But what is your feeling of the impact of this on our allies in the Middle East? Iraq said that. Forgive me. What is your opinion of this, impacting our Middle East allies going forward? Because we still do have troops on the ground in the Middle East. Right. What's the situation going to look like with our Middle East allies?
I think, they're going to be fearful about being allies with us because they're going to be like, America's shutting their doors on us. Like you saw with the Iraqi interpreter, people within Iraq who have helped U.S. troops being denied entry. These are news that are running 24/7 within the Middle East. And so obviously people are going to be fearful about helping Americans. And yes, I understand, Iraq and Syria, ISIS is a huge problem. And yes, we should be examining and monitoring every single person who's coming in. But like I said, a blatant ban on the entire country is not the right way to go. And it should have been better implemented rather than causing a mess.
Saba, I want to ask you about what happened in Canada last night, but real quick, should Pakistan and Afghanistan been on that list?
No. I'm from Pakistan.
Pakistan and Afghanistan should not have been on that list.
No, definitely not.
Why not?
I'm from Pakistan. There's so many Pakistani Americans in this country. You know what? I have seen Pakistani doctors so fearful within my family, and we're productive citizens of this country. And we haven't. I don't think, like I said, a blanket ban on an entire country is not the right way to go.
Okay. Well, this is why we're really grateful to have you on the show today, Saba, because you're giving us real information from on the ground. What's your take on what went on in Canada? 2 suspects were arrested in a shooting of a mosque in Canada last night. Now, 6 people were killed, 8 others were wounded. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke out about the shooting, calling it a terrorist attack on Muslims. Saba, do you think that this was a terrorist attack on Muslims?
Yes, definitely. I mean, like I said, we're suffering just as much as any other group within America or in Canada. I think, we had 2 mosques burned down in Texas in the last couple of weeks as well. We're seeing hate crimes increase against the Muslim community, and that's not the solution. That's why you can't have a president who targets a religion. And I hope that President Trump will be mindful and meet with the Muslim American community and understand the impact that his policies are having on us. And I hope that, we can work together. We all want national security and defense of this country. We are proud Americans, and we hope to serve this country as best as we can, but we would like our religion not targeted.
Any act of violence against anyone should be condemned, but I'm concerned about one thing regarding Canada. They don't know yet who committed. They do know who committed the act, and I'm wondering why they didn't identify them yet publicly.
Well, and we'll find out. I hope to God it's not another Muslim. But then again, it's sad to see that somebody would go in a place of worship and gun down people during prayer.
Saba, you have a lot of courage. Why isn't anybody else of the Muslim faith coming out and denouncing ISIS?
I think people are trying to denounce ISIS. There's a lot of condemnations going around with terrorism, but people are just fearful right now. Our community is like, they just don't know what's going to come next, and they're living in fear. Okay.
Saba, thanks very much for speaking out this morning. We so appreciate your time. Very important.
Thank you so much for
the world. Ahmed joining us there. Saba Ahmed. Coming up, turbulence for